eat it in the same way that when you think of plant food, you think of them like eating the nutrients, but they don't. They actually like, it's like the nutrients help them use the light. So it's not literally eating they much more.
Well, first of all, I'd like to extend a very warm welcome to a person who I recently met. He's our client and a very interesting gentleman, has been in an industry for more than 2 decades. And I'm going to let him introduce himself. What industry is he in? What made him come to Pattaya? And over to you, David.
Yeah, hi. I'm in the cannabis industry. I've been growing pot, marijuana, whatever you want to call it, for the last 26 years now. I think I started my first farm in 1998. It's 2025. Good Lord. It's really, what I've been doing most of my life as far as for a vocation. I came to Thailand about 2.5 years ago now. About 3.5 years ago, they deregulated cannabis here and it became legal. It was kind of a booming industry here at the time.
That's the clone, and you can see right here the roots are starting to come out. Don't have to trim out and touch those roots. Those little white things in the roots. As when they come out, and probably by tomorrow, this one will be ready to plant.
One of the larger companies, successful companies, needed a professional grower. They had met a friend of mine who had, I come from California, which is worldwide known as having the most robust cannabis industry and the most advanced cannabis industry. We were legal before most of the rest of the world by a decade at least, and so they found out that you have friends in California, and he was previously in the industry himself. He said, yeah, I know a professional grower. I was in a situation myself where I had recently closed my farm down after 20 years. And so I was kind of like looking for what's next in my life. And they said, would you like to come to Thailand and, play with a large budget to grow cannabis at scale? And, this is what I've been doing. I had the experience. It's not just in the cultivation side, but it's also very much logistics. And this is what I want. Came out here to do, and I've been doing.
Well, thank you for the introduction. So, David, 26 years, and that's a long time. And as you mentioned, he's from California, which is basically the mecca, or the hotbed of this industry. And you've been here now a little bit more than 2 years in Pattaya. And for me, I'm a person who doesn't, is not a consumer, has not had much experience with it, but I was fortunate enough, and thank you for the brilliant tour. So I had a fantastic tour earlier today of the facility, learned a little bit about behind the scenes, which I guarantee most of us have no idea about. But for people who are maybe not so familiar, what is, for cannabis from start to finish, we're looking at, what is some of the logistics, or what is your day-to-day in your life?
Yeah, so, my day-to-day is very much, managerial, I guess. I start with I'm running 2 farms here. I start with a staff meeting. We lay out our plan for the day, and then I have a phone staff meeting with the other farm. So it's very much like talking to all the people making a plan. The normal daily tasks we have are watering the plants, cleaning, constantly trying to clean them. The more sterile the environment is, the less infections, diseases, insects, mold, etc. that can take hold in the farm. we do, feed the plants. I have to you can. I look at the health of the plants, and we kind of read the leaves is how I describe it, where the leaf of the plant will tell you if it's deficient or has too much of a certain type of nutrient or chemical in them. We have to monitor the air temperature, the humidity, the level of CO2 in the air. We have to monitor the heat of the water, the temperature of the water, the pH, the acidity level of the water, the different nutrients, making sure that the nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, boron, etc., iron is all in balance and to what the levels that the plant needs to photosynthesize and continue its growth. We take care of the microbiology in the soil, meaning that I'm giving it beneficial bacteria that help the plants break down these nutrients that are in the soil. We use organic products to give it these nutrients, so I'm giving them bat guanos and seaweeds and just a whole list of different glacial rock dust and gypsum and
David,
it's like a chemistry project.
Can I safe to say you're a busy man?
Yes.
It's a busy day.
Yes. That's and then on other days, like yesterday was a harvesting day at the other farm, and all day long we're cutting down and processing cannabis.
Right.
There's trimming to be done. You have to make sure it's the right dryness for smoking. You have to make sure it's cured properly. It's a continuous, long, everyday type of process. Very labor intensive.
Right. And we, as a consumer, would only see the end product, which you buy in a gram or whatever that have you. But as you mentioned, there's a whole lot of, I would say, science behind growing it, because let's face it, not everybody can grow it. I was fortunate enough, as I mentioned, to see it. It's a bit of a symphony, you have this stage and this stage, and this is where
the logistics.
The plants are in complete darkness here. Here they're under the lamp. So it's a world which an average person or even a consumer, I would say a retail consumer perhaps, would not have much idea about. And but yeah, it's quite fascinating, and obviously it's legal in Thailand. But now let's switch track a little bit. So you've been here now a little bit more than 2 years. Tell me a little bit about your experience living in Thailand, and what's been some of the good things, some not so good things.
Yeah, I mean, I like Thailand quite a bit. The people here are really friendly and outgoing, which they call it the land of smiles, right?
Yeah.
And the culture is very interesting. There's definitely some culture shock things going on. Coming from America is different, and in not just that culture shock of being around Thai culture, but Pattaya is very much an international city. So I'm interacting with many more Europeans, people from China, people from India that I don't, so I'm getting many cultures. Many of the workers in our factory are from Myanmar, and that's an entirely other different culture. They're speaking Hindi. Most places I go, I'm the only English speaker.
Yeah.
So it's there's that's going on is very interesting. One of the things that it's kind of surprising to me was in America, I loved Thai food. It was one of my favorite foods.
And I guarantee you had pad Thai when you were there.
I mean, pad Thai, but also just there is some dishes that are served there in every American Thai restaurant that do not exist here.
Correct. I experienced the same.
Yeah.
So I never had a pad krapao before I came to Thailand, and I certainly didn't have a pad krapao as spicy as the first one I ever had, and I learned very quickly what spicy food means, or spiciness in Thailand means.
Sure.
What is your experience? Because I have learned a word which is my saver, Nit Noi.
Nit Noi.
Yeah,
Nit Noi.
Nit
Very
Noi
Nit
is
Noi.
my number one word when I go to a Thai restaurant.
Nit Noi cap.
Yeah. So.
You know, I mean, one of the things that was strikingly different is that in every Thai restaurant in America, they're serving a bunch of dishes with peanut sauce, and I don't see peanut sauce here at all. And in fact, I asked my Thai friend about it, and he didn't even know what I was talking about.
Sure.
And this is like a staple in American restaurants.
Yeah.
You know, some of the stuff is the same. You can get the penne curry, and you can get the tom kha gai and things like this. But like, you know, it's just interesting that there was like such a stark difference in some regards.
Yeah.
Everything's served here with egg. I don't see that in the American restaurants. The egg is not something that's going on. Maybe sometimes in the pad thai, but that's about it.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So that's the food aspect of it, because again, food is a big part of the culture.
Absolutely.
So when I meet some Thai
Food's
friends,
a big part of my culture.
Well, I'm trying to hide it with my hands. So for one of the things which I realize is part of the Thai culture, as you mentioned, Land of Smiles, fantastic people. Sabai Sabai, where things take their own time. And coming from America and coming from Canada, you have to also work, or you have to make sure that you manage your expectations and work according to, and you learn it over time. It's not something when you come in here, you're like, okay, this will be done next week. And you're like, what do you mean it'll be done next week?
So yes, some things take their own pace. Sabai Sabai is a real thing.
Yeah.
Other things happen at an incredible pace.
Sure.
When I was come here and we're building the factory, and you know, the people that I was working with, they had been here, some of them for 30 years, some were actually Thai. So I had the advantage of them knowing their way around and knowing who to contact, and we're going to do some construction, and one of the things we were going to build was a building for our workers, a dormitory for the workers to stay in. And in my mind, if I'm going to put up a building in America, it's permitting, it's foundation, it's hiring a company. This is going to cost several $100,000. It's going to take 3 years, right? And I said, why would we do this? Like, we don't even own this property. That's crazy. They had that building up in 2 weeks. And so that was completely like eye-opening of what is possible.
Sure.
Right? You know, the people came in, they were, you know, like the next day after we talk about it, walls were going up. And it was like, you know, they are fast workers on that side. Now, you know, you can wonder about, you know, safety standards or things like this that might not be met, but you know, there's definitely certain things happen at a very rapid pace. And then other things, it took me almost 8 months to get my worker's permit. Right? It's like, you know, the Thai government is.
Well, you didn't come to us.
I didn't come to you, and it wasn't me who didn't come to you. But eventually they got to you.
So this is the other part, and maybe a bit of a shameless plug, but one of the things which we've learned and I've discovered that getting things done depends also on the immigration you're dealing with, depends on a lot of factors. I've been now on the side of things where I get this done for people. But now, safe to say, there is a value in having an agent, because there are some services you can do it yourself. We have a lot of expats and a lot of Facebook groups who will tell you, and by all means, there are some services you can manage yourself. But if you want to save time, money, and if your Thai is not fluent, well, hiring an agent or hiring a reputable agency is probably one way to save a lot of tears and time.
Definitely worth it.
Yeah, because
the who you know and who your agent knows is much more important than what you know.
Yeah,
you know.
And it definitely is one of those things which, when you live here, you accept, or you come to accept, is what I say, is and you know, the 90-day reporting, and there's so many things. But if you live here, you just have to get on with it and accept it. And as he mentioned, you know, there are some things which you'll scratch your head a little bit, like road safety or workers, you know, building things with just dangling. And if you compare it to your home country, yeah. But then there is the other side of things where things get done super quickly. But the other thing which a lot of people ask me, David, and I don't know your experience to it, but a lot of people feel that Thailand is a place which, you know, is cheap and they can come and visit and they can, and it is that, and it is, but from my experience, Thailand is not as cheap as what some people may let you to believe, right?
Sure. It's not. I mean, I think that there's a misconception that this is a third world economy. I would not label it as a third world economy at all. It might not be Canada or United States or Europe, or Japan, but it's just below that. You know, for instance, some things are incredibly cheap. You can get, you know, rice and chicken for $1.50 equivalent, 50 baht, right? But if you go to a swanky bar in Bangkok, you might pay 500 or 600 baht for a drink, which, if you do the math on that, is $20, which is, you know, I mean, prices have gone up now, but that's, you know, San Francisco prices. You know what I